Welcome to DOCU Days UA, the International Documentary Film Festival on Human Rights. We have today our next docu class as a part of a program, essay film program. Sorry, no image available. And I have with me Lucia Margarita Bauer, the director of the film Maman Maman Maman, and Carolin Renninger, the producer of the film Maman Maman Maman. And I want to remind you just that you can see the film until 10th of May on docuspace.org. And during our meeting, our conversation, you can ask also questions in the chat, and we will hopefully have a possibility the last 10 minutes to answer the question. So hi, hello Lucia, hello Anne-Caroline, nice to see you.
Hi Tatiana.
How are you?
Hi,
hello.
Hi.
I'm very happy that we can speak today about your wonderful film that I watched 3 times already. And it's every time, yeah, I love it. And every time it's something new, what I'm discovering. And this is really personal film. As you say, this is a family film. That's why I would like to start maybe just to tell you about the family story. So, yeah.
do you mean to talk about the family story? Like what?
Yeah, because it's particular family. I mean, you live in German, you're German, half German, but the film is in France, and your mother obviously speaking French.
Yeah, like my father's German, my mother is French, and my mother taught me to speak wrong German, like Swabian German, which is way, way wrong, because my father didn't want that we talk French. And we have a very big family in France, and also we have a really old house, and all my cousins and families, they're really proud of it because I think it's a chateau, but it's actually not really a chateau because it's very old and run down and not really renovated. It has a charm, but it's not really a chateau, and all the family meets there once a year, and it's most of the time a catastrophic, and everybody says we're never going to come again, but then next year they all come again. So this is a part of the story actually, which I used for my film also. And all those places you see in the film is in this old house in France. It's 2 hours from Paris. Yes, and yeah. And the story is actually about my grandmother who died in Germany because my mother took care of her for 6 months before she died. But then when she died, she had to go back to Paris and back to this family house where she got buried. So it was a very adventurous trip to get there. And I unfortunately couldn't be there because I don't know why, but I couldn't be there. And my mother said, don't come because it's going to be too much with the family. So I just used all the material of my mother, of my brother, and my uncles, whoever were there at the funeral, which I used for the film. Yeah.
So this is why Maman Maman Maman. Why the title Maman 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 3 times?
because actually it came when I did the film. I said, it's a film not about my grandmother. It's a film about my mother because my mother interacts a lot in the film and she helps a lot. And I ask her a lot of questions, and luckily she's way, way open. So I thought it's about me, my mother, my grandmother, and me as a mother. So for me it was clear it's going to be called Maman Maman Maman, like it's yeah, and it sounds like a bird a little bit.
But what you have also in the film in the beginning, I think it's your mother saying Maman, and then you saying Maman, and then your child, I think Arto, saying
Mama. Yeah, Mama. Yeah. And we all shout very loud. Me, Mama. This is when you're child, we hear it very often as a mother. Mama. It's like something.
Mama, mama, mama.
Mama. It's a big word. Yeah, I don't know. It's a warm word, I think. Yes.
But it's kind of both. No, it's a kind of Mama, I need you, but it's also Mama, you are mine, and also
yes.
Mama, who I am, or I don't know. It's
most of the time demanding.
and you're saying that we are like you are like a family production. So what do you mean if you say you're a family production? So we know this from Rossellini, but I think it's in your case it's a little bit different than the whole family is working just for Lucia Bauer. So I think.
No, first of all, here's Carolin Renninger, who is a very old friend of mine. We know each other since a very, very long time. We met in Strasbourg where she worked for Arte. And so for me, it's also family. And it's just by chance she discovered the film because she said, oh, what did you do? So I said, I did this film, but it's a bit, I don't know what to do with it. I just did it. And
that was the first film.
Yeah, the first film, The Snake, yeah. And sorry, I'm talking about the first film. And I didn't have any courage and didn't have any self-confidence, especially when you are doing private films and family films. It's pretty hard when you don't have anybody in your back and helping you a little bit. And she really liked it. And suddenly, yeah, it's opened a lot of doors. This is like one story of the family. The other one is because my mother works a lot with me since the first film, like with her interviews, and she's helping me a lot, and she likes to be filmed, she likes to be interviewed. So I'm very lucky about this. And for example, one of my sons, he's doing music. My husband is doing the posters and the food. And also I must say that is a boyfriend of Anne-Caroline, René Fröke. He's actually what I said. Also, he's a brain because he made a film out of the film actually, and he ordered everything. And yeah, so I'm really lucky to have this behind because without them, I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know where I would be. It's yeah.
But your mother was also editing the film, as I know.
With me, especially for the second film, because I didn't want to put her in a strange situation. So I did a lot. I worked with her a lot on the first film, and it was very nice because she did much more. She was much more braver than I was. She said, "Oh yeah, do this. Don't worry about the family. Do this." So she was much more braver than I was, and for me, it was important to have her with me. To have such a fragile subject, especially because it's her mother. So I wouldn't put her in front of a film where she would probably say, oh my God, what is this? So, and also to talk about her loss and yeah, so this was very important with my mother to do it.
What I think,
because we have started already to speak about your connections and your friendship and working together, would you please say how it was for you as a producer from this producing part to work with this this really fragile story, but also the way like Lucy working, it's like thinking a lot, and then there's a lot of material, and you have to, I think the film was mostly done in the editing process and not written before. So how is it to produce this kind of films?
I think it's really important to say that Lucy, she is filming and she's collecting and she is searching and thinking and feeling about her family anyways. I mean, she would do this even if there was no film. And she did this, most of the material she has in Maman, she shot it without knowing that it would become a film. Like she went to these family gatherings with her friend and they were filming and didn't really know what for. And then we were in contact, of course, because we are working together on the other film and because we are good friends. And then one day I remember I was in the garden in my family and she called me and then she told me about this really crazy way of her grandmother's coffin going back to the funeral, like what is in the end of the film, and which is a bit the red line. And she told me about this, and in this moment I felt this is Lucy. This is, I mean, it would not happen to anybody else than to the mother of Lucia and to Lucia and to the family. And then she told me little by little about all the components behind and about the chateau. And then I saw the beginning scene of her grandmother of Babette sitting there under this tree, and this story which opens as well the film. And this moment I thought, I mean, everything is there. So I want to say that Lucia is a filmmaker because it is her life. It's not, she would not do a film about any topic anybody would suggest her to do a film. It's her way of living and working and being, yeah, something like this. And I see my role a bit like when she's putting something in the air, to take it and then to tell her and to give her a little courage to go further. And in this case, I mean, it was her second film. The first film was really beautiful film. It was in Visions du Réel, but it was not that it was the super success that we knew we would continue. And you know, it was still fragile. But then we started to put elements together, and then her husband is a really good writer, so he started to write, and we had a text for the second film, and it came together, this reflection about death, about family, and all this what stands in the beginning. And we just sent it like this to a fund, which is for women filmmakers, and she got the grant, and then it started. And you must imagine 6 years it took us, I think, to make this film. And in between, Lucia got pregnant, she gave birth, I got pregnant, I gave birth, and she got pregnant again. And in between, we tried to work on the film, and there were moments where we didn't work on it. I think I would say for 1 year and a half, we didn't do anything. I mean, of course, it was working. It was how you say, getting grip, or you know, it was within Lucia. The topic was there, but not that we were sitting in the editing room. And of course, with the super small budget we had, I mean, it's impossible to really work in the editing room. And in the end, to finish the film, to be honest, was a moment. We got a little funding, and the woman of the fund, she said, but I need something, you know, you have to hand in film. And this really gave us this kick, this administrational thing, that we finished the film in the time, and that it became like it was in such a shape. Yes, and I think our friendship is part of the way working together, because you need a lot of trust. It does not work in the way that you know, if you have a deadline and Lucia is not hitting this deadline, I mean, I cannot be angry, because then she wouldn't work any longer. You know, like it has to be very, like it cannot go with pressure or anything that usually in film business plays a role. And so we go with the flow, and so far it went really well. Maybe as well because there was never pressure, like from TV stations or fundings, which you usually have. There was never pressure in our films.
But it sounds to me also that you were in this position between producer, dramaturgy, and like a supervisor. I don't know. It's like also French, but maybe it's because of your background as a director also. So like to see the material that you can do out of a film. Also,
it could be,
I'm
but
saying something wrong.
No, it could be, but I think this is actually producing. Like, you don't have to be a director to see this. Like, I would not say that I could make the film Lucia does. I mean, if I was like this is, I think the role in this case as a producer. I mean, we call it in the credits of the film, how you say Hinweisschild in English, like a sign in the street, like I'm the one who's leading her, you know, or is giving her what she needs to go further. But at dramaturgy and all this, every good producer is able to do this. I mean, this is the creative part of producing and the wonderful part of producing. Like, you see and you feel, and you see as well when the director has to do a detour. What is it? When you go a wrong way,
has to make a longer way,
and then you wait, and you know that it has to go sometimes in circles and come back, and needs time and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a quality of producing. Yeah.
And you can feel it also in the film. I found that you can feel this way of going further and coming back and rethinking things somehow, even if it sounds like, but it's 37 minutes, but it's every shot and every step, it's there where it has to be. I don't know how to say it. It has its own place, and there are no other place for this image or for this shot. Or it's and I think you need a time to do this. So it's not something like this you cannot do maybe in 2 months or 3 months.
No, and you could say that we had a version of the film which was quite similar to the one which is there in the end, maybe 3 years before, but it has nothing to do with what is there now, you know? Like from when you put the blocks into order, you would say, but it's the rhythm. And really, this time, Lucia needed really time to, I mean, Lucy, I don't want to say something, please correct me. No, but
no, it's perfect.
For the rhythm, because it's all about the timing, and you see it perfectly. I mean, the first film you did, Lucia, was in the still in the school and without kids, and you had all the time of the world, and you find, I mean, it's the timing, it's the moment with the typography in the picture and with the sound and with the picture and everything, and it was already so perfect. And in a way, in the second film, we just continued, and maybe it was as well with the big head and help and rhythm and everything of René, who edited the final version together with Lucia, who made it, I would say, that it came to the point where we all imagined the film. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah. No, that's totally right, because you really understood how to get into the material from the beginning, and this is not easy, especially with my material, which is very chaotic, and because I put all my brain in the timeline, and I must say it's crazy what a kind of empathy he put into the film and understanding, which for me it's not normal, you know, to have this. To not have an ego. Many have an ego, they want to do this or that, and way fragile, which which I'm way lucky about it. Because it took me so many years, what I said, because the first film, it took me also 7 years, first of all, to find the material in the attic of the house of my mother and my father. I didn't open it. It was like a Pandora box. I didn't open it for, I don't know, 20 years. I don't know how long it was. And suddenly I opened it and all this memory came back. And then I had to do a therapy after that. So that's the reason it took so long. And then I had to understand all this, and then I started to do the film, and I read the letters, because it's very emotional when you don't see letters or films or things, and suddenly everything comes up. So I had to work, and now I'm fine with it, because I faced it. I faced it and I worked with it, and I'm totally fine with it, and I'm into it. And of course, you also ask yourself at the start, who does it interest? But now I'm over that point. But it takes years to get a human being.
This is amazing about your film for me. Watching this for the third time now to prepare myself for conversation, because I like to watch the films again, even though I watched them before, but just to have the fresh eye. Can you see?
Yeah.
the fresh view on it. It's about your family, of course, but it's also about the family as it is. And for me, it's a very important sequence in the film. And now we're coming to the material. When you're filming your cousins in the house, and you make really wonderful portraits on all the people, and you connect them with the portraits on the wall, and sometimes they're really similar and sometimes not, and this is kind of which is so joyful, because I also start to play this play, you know, to can I recognize the person or not in this old portrait, and sometimes yes and sometimes not. And at the same time, this is a question: what have all these people to do with each other? And not just in the time, because your mother saying it's like 15 generation, we're living here in the same place. So the place is connecting all these people, but what kind of else connection have these people with each other? So this is all the question about the family. What is this construction of family? And interesting what you said before, Carolin, and Carolin is also friend, but it's also family. So, and you can feel this question, is the family only the family where you was born in, and it's automatically that you connected, or is family something else, but you can choose, and all the difficulty about it, you know, to be a part and to be not a part at the same time.
No, I think family, of course. No, but I, for me, of course, family stays all the time. Even so, you have a fight, you don't talk to each other for years, but there's a time you always stay together somehow. This is somehow, of course, with friends, it's always difficult. Of course, you choose, but there also it can be, I don't know, it's I don't know what do you say, Anne Caroline?
I mean,
a bit lost in.
No, you're completely right. I mean, this is why we deal with it. I mean, otherwise we would maybe have already cut the connection to the family. But because it is our family, we still are in contact, and then we are going through it and making eventually a film about it. But what I like so much as well about the sequence you were referring to is the repetition of history. Like we all think we are so individual, and all the fights we have in the family and all the disagreement or agreement or whatever sicknesses or whatever. But then, I mean, in the picture where you see them on the paintings, you know it was exactly the same. I mean, they were maybe not taking the lunette to make this play, but they had something else, maybe the umbrella or whatever. And this, for me, goes afterwards in the film all the time. It continues that you think, I mean, this film could have been done 100 years ago, exactly the same.
It repeats, and you never can get out, even so you think you can get out. You want to get out. I often thought that of my family, to get out because I'm different, I'm going to choose my family. But the older I get, it's not possible, and it's good like this. Because
it's interesting that we have a conversation today, because yesterday it was a conversation with Stefan Neuberger, the camera person of Thomas Heise film Heimat is this Space and Time. And that's also about the family, but a little bit different. It's about the family inside the whole history. But I have one sentence which I really like by some film critic who said the person, when she's born or he is born, the life begins not with the birth. The life begins the history of the person begins not with his birth, but begins before. Even 100 years before. So, and you can see it also with Lucy's film. So the story of Lucy, of her personality, it's not just today, and not just with the mother, it's also grandmother and grandmother. So it's long before the birth somehow. And somehow.
Yeah, and then look at Lucy now, when you see her in the Zoom, and then you see the picture of Babette in the little ID in the film in the end. I mean, it's identical.
Yeah, and things repeats. Things repeats in life. What my mother had, I had it suddenly. It's strange. It's strange, and it's strange because with my mother, in the years we worked a lot to really get on, and to it's what I say, family is work. It's not it's like when you have your own family, when you're married, it's work, everything. To get there where we are took us really since my birth, because we were fighting, and now we are getting on really, really well, and we can laugh about each other. I'm not attacking her anymore because I can laugh with her. It changed, something changed, and which is nice, and I'm happy for that. To live this life until she's there, you know, like this together, and to really go deep into the family history, because I think it's really important for everybody to understand where you're coming from and who you are, and as long as I live, you know, to make interviews, to make researches.
But still, it's your way of approaching is quite different to the usual family portrait films which we know. So you don't make a family therapy, I would say. And this is also the question with working with material again, because there's not only people inside of your film, there are a lot of things also, like books, paintings. We thought about photos, okay, but also texts. So and they're all on this same level. And what I really like, for example, like you filming the people, and the way you film the people, the same way like you film the plant, which you can see out of
the tapete, how do you call
The wall.
the wallpaper.
The wall, yeah, or the little. Help me with my English.
The plant? No, the little plant. Huh?
Motte. Die Motte.
Ah, die Motte, yeah. The moth who was flying around, yeah.
Yeah, and the way of watching it is the same. Is for me the same kind of, sorry, but of love. I don't know. They're all equal. You know, it's like.
You mean maybe attention or yeah.
Attention, the light. You know, it's difficult to describe, but it would say like an image of softness, and this is a soft, lovely point of view.
Yeah, because also it's filmed also in the moment and also cut in the moment. That's the reason there are lots of layers, and I didn't want to, every time you feel a problem, I'm not talk about it, but sometimes you can feel it with music or a picture, but I never dive into it because this is not important. I don't want to put somebody on the guillotine and say, hey, you were bad. This is not my kind of, things what many do. I don't know how you say it. Jemand anklagen.
To judge.
Yeah, you judge. Yeah, and this is way important, not to do this.
But you use the books, and
yeah.
should I say that the books in the film are kind of comments, your thoughts?
Now, this is actually a little picture for the next film. It's all the books of my father, which I used because he has a really big library. And he talks lots of languages, and he has really strange books, and they were just perfect. The titles were just perfect for the film also. And then I understood. Yeah.
And the funny thing was that at a point we tried to include him in the film, and we talked about it, and Lucia tried to think how he could be in the film. I mean, first he doesn't want to be filmed, but then with his thoughts and everything. And at the moment, I mean, first he was sneaking into the film through the book titles, but then as well it came out that he needs his own film and his own space. And this happens, of course, when you have such an approach as Lucia, that you can react to the space that is needed for each topic.
Yeah, and you're right, because through the books I came now to my father, which I was very distant because he was there, but he lives his own life. He's like an eremit, and I always wished to have a connection to him, and this is what happens now. So actually, dream comes true in this way, to approach him by his knowledge, and I see he likes it very much, like my mother. They like to be filmed, they like to be interviewed. A little bit of narcissist.
But right, you try to have a father in the part of this film, Maman Maman Maman, but it's kind of, he came through the books, and now you managed to have him for the next film.
Yes, yeah, and interview him and try to see him as much as I can, yeah. And to make a film about him and about the apocalypse, yeah.
But I
That
think
was the next question. But is it that you are? I remember because it's. I mean, we know each other also for so many years already.
Also family.
And I think it's almost 20.
Yes. No, it's really long. Yeah, that's it. That's what I said. It's always we are here sitting with my family.
And I remember you saying one day, all the films are just a part of one longer film. So you can say that Maman Maman, it was the part 2, and now we are watching for the next. We are waiting for the next season.
Yeah, the trilogy. Yeah, but this what I had. I was watching a lot of HBO movies, and I was thinking, wow, they're so fast, and I was so anxious to cut it because there were so many subjects, so I cut it also very fast, and it just happened like this, and it's like a train where you can put a lot of wagons more into it, and at the end you have a series, you have a trilogy, you have
maybe one day there will be one about you, Tatjana.
Yes. You probably also. We're gonna use this. We're gonna use this.
Of course, it will be a bit boring.
So the next chapter. Do you have already the title for the next chapter for the film? Chapter.
It's just a working title. The Alzheimer Apocalypse. It's but I don't know. Maybe it's changing. I never know. Sometimes the titles are changing. It's like Maman Maman Maman. It changed because I felt it was about being a mother and having a mother, and it's.
In the beginning, what it was before Maman Maman?
Babette. Sorry. Yeah, that was the name of my grandmother. So yeah.
And
that or the other story.
Other story. Yeah. But you work. I will stay a little bit with Maman Maman Maman, and then come back to Apocalypse and the work with your mother. But maybe Carolin can tell us about montage a little bit, because your boyfriend was working on it, René, and how. Because the montages are really multi-layers, so it's the first person who is coming in, even if I don't like the name droppings, but still it's coming Godard. But I know that Lucia, she was not so in touch with Godard, she was not seeing so many films of him, but this multi-layers on text and music and like a contrapoint to the image, so they don't go together. They don't make a comment on it. This is more like even the text is a picture. I can make an example. Maybe if we see the book title Misanthrope by Molière, and then we see the portrait of an uncle saying him, "Oh, you beautiful girl," or "you beauty," and they're like relationship between two images, but one is also an image and the other one also. Would you say a little bit how you worked on editing?
I'm Carolin.
The texts.
I can only, I cannot speak for René, but I remember that he was saying at this point where we really started the final edit, like now we really have to make it, and he was always saying, I'm trying to imitate Lucia's thinking. Like, I'm trying to, like, this is how she is thinking and how she's expressing, and I'm trying to imitate it with the editing. And maybe there's something in there that Lucia's way of perceiving the world and perceiving the story she wants to tell, and how it comes out, it's exactly this way, like this is how she speaks, how she creates, and his role as an editor was really to transform the rhythm. I mean, in this case was special because it was so long and over such a long period of time, and all the material was laying there. And I remember there was a moment that he was saying, okay, because of all the different technical formats and in general about all the different qualities, I have to make it everything the same in a way, and I have to go through it in a super precise way that I'm able to handle all pictures, all sounds in the same manner. And before it was a bit chaotic and you could not access everything the same way. But maybe this is very detailed now how I'm saying, but I think he found his own way of taking the little chaos which was there and to make it handleable, like. But this is the role of an editor anyways. But in this special case, it is that René and Lucia, they have different characters, but they understand each other super well, and for him it didn't really feel like work to be with Lucia and to then imitate her way of thinking into the pictures. But of course, I mean, in the snake of the dark.
The snake of the dark.
Yeah. Lucia did all of this herself. I mean, the same rhythm. It's as well something Lucia can do herself. I don't want to say that the editor was the one who had the language for Lucia, but in this case, I think there was something between them which can be described in such way.
No, but his rhythm was very smooth and very important, because my rhythm was like no much like foot, and he made the rhythm, which is so important when you cut it, to have the right rhythm. It's if you don't have it, you don't follow. You're not. It makes a film.
And I remember that after Lucia left the editing room, he was sometimes still working for the whole night with some little details to make this true that they were trying to achieve, you know? Like it's really in the little things,
One of for me also like moments of this way of thinking of a director, because I know you a little bit.
Yeah, you know me very well.
When we have and this way I will explain why I'm speaking about it. We have a panorama from the house, and we can see the house. And I do not remember now which kind of music exactly, but we have a classical music behind, and then suddenly we can hear the phone. Like really disturbing, one old one Nokia or something like this, like coming in. And in this moment you think, okay, the person is filming and she's filming and somebody is calling her, but it's not true. This is put on. And I would like to speak about this moment of between fiction and documentary, because I know that there are some of fictional part. I mean, they're not fictional, but they're staged.
But in this case, it's happened something. The Nokia wasn't the sound, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
At this time, it wasn't. No, but it wasn't. I remember other things where it was so silent that we put it up. But maybe you don't have an example.
Yeah,
it was just about.
For example, the click-clack sounds of the Canon 5D. We often put it in, even if it wasn't there. So
and then,
like a mistake.
But I'm speaking, actually, I wanted to speak about another situation, but maybe you don't want, you can decide. The situation with the policeman, saying all the journey with the car through Paris. So this difference in documentary and stage documentary or fiction, I don't know, which I found also interesting. Could you say something about it, or?
I just want to say one thing about the Nokia sound at the end, because just to finish the thinking now in my brain, because I work a lot with mistakes, and because sometimes I get aggression when I see beautiful, perfect pictures. It makes me very aggressive, and when they're perfect technique done, I think everything has, so it has, sometimes I have to put in a mistake. So I make it very often with sounds. And at the end, actually, the film, when you talk about that, it wasn't me who filmed it, because it's a way cheap mobile phone from somebody who visited in the house. Actually, when I filmed all this, it was actually the sister of the husband of my sister, and I asked about the material, and then the Nokia sound came from my cousin who lives in Africa and Togo, who filmed who filmed her because she was she was planting mice there, and she was filming and showing me what she did, and there was keep on this Nokia sound coming. So I said, that's perfect. I have to do this, because she keeps on showing me. Okay, end of the story. Anyways, and about the policeman, the garde champêtre, the problem is I didn't have any material. I don't know if I'm answering this question or if I understood the question good.
Yeah, you're right. Can you explain a little bit this story behind?
Because the garde champêtre is actually not a real policeman. It does only exist in France. He is official only for the village, and he's not a real policeman, but he can say what is wrong and what you have to do. And the thing is, I didn't have any material of the whole funeral story. I had really not much, so I had to find things in the internet. So I collected all things in the internet and put it like this together, and my mother made the story out of it. So this is what actually happens. So if I don't find something, I really look into the internet and I use it, because there's so much, and there's so much material. And if I think what's very important is the story. If you have beautiful pictures, you don't have a story, I think it's a problem. It's better not to have pictures, but you have a good story. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know. But I think it was like this.
It's as well a very sensitive way of fictionalize things and to put poetry into the thoughts that are there and that are actually real, and like documentary. Like when I it's not like inventing something which goes against the story. It's really going with the story and find a way to make it sometimes a bit surreal or überhöht. I don't know the English word. To as well find some distance, or some that it's not too direct, and to goes on a different layer again. But this layer is maybe not in the picture, but it's in the layer of thinking that there would be something going against. This is how I perceive these moments where it's possible to fictionalize or to add, for example, the Super 8 material as well from Paris. I mean, it's something which comes from a totally different place, but
this is from my grandfather, I have to say. Yeah. Because our family, sorry, I have to say this.
Another family. No, but it could be there, like, and then I think, what is
they're coming from, this 8 millimeters?
It's from my grandfather. He filmed it in Paris. It was coincidence, like it came together. Yeah.
The black and white, the tour through Paris. Black and white. It's
yeah.
But I think it's also interesting for me, from my point of view. This is the story is always the story, and even the history is always a story. So that was told by somebody, and it's repeated, and especially in the family stories. There was a lot of repetition, from one generation to other, the grandmother to mother, the mother to the daughter, the sister to the aunt to the sister. So it's like a lot of repetition, and every time when you come together, you tell the same stories, but they change a little bit, always. Or like... And
in this way, it does not matter if there's a fictional part as well, because it's...
We have now 15 minutes. I would like to speak about exactly what we started speaking about already. Your next film, the third chapter of your long
trilogy.
You are working about, this is the next film will be about your father, as I understand, and your mother's again in.
She's
also as a camera woman.
Yeah, as a camera woman and commenting, of course. I love her comments. She's already my voice. I don't need anything.
And do you like to speak to tell something about it, or what it's about? And do you work together also this time? And how is it going? And yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, we work again together in this project. Even so, they have their own films to make. So yeah, and I'm traveling to my father often and trying to film him, but also my mother films him, which I find much more interesting, because this is what I like about other material, because as you're a filmmaker you make this perfect picture, but my mother, she just holds on the camera and it's funny what they talk, and because I'm not there. So I gave her a mini DV camera, a Sony, and she keeps on filming also my father at home, and sending me also films of her with a mobile phone. And I did 2 days ago a Skype interview with him. So we will see, but the interviews are most about his work, his life work, I must say, because he made a lot of researches about apocalypse. He has a lot of facsimile about the apocalypse, and he studied. He studied really the old language, Hebrew, Jewish, everything. He can talk about 20 languages. So it's very lot of work to go through his books, what he wrote already, lots of books. So I'm going through all this to really get just a little bit on his level, because what he has is already 60 years of knowledge, while he's 84
Did you say
now.
that he's researching about the apocalypses? Did you? I don't.
Yeah, he made researches about all that, because he has his old facsimile, this old books with
just to get an idea.
Just to get an idea, yeah.
Don't get into too many details.
No. I don't.
That is why the film the working title is Apocalypse.
Alzheimer. This is where he lives. Because he has his own world, and he doesn't see many people. He was always in his own world.
But is there also some connection to the paintings with the apocalypse, like the old paintings
from Madrid, the Facundus Apocalypse in Madrid, for example. This is very important in this film, which is from this monk in the, I don't know which century, 10th, I don't know, who started to paint this apocalypse. I don't know how you say apocalypse in English, actually. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
I keep on saying it in German. Apocalypse.
I'm not trying.
Okay. It sounds like calypso. My children also say
ice cream calypso.
Calypso. Yeah, my children also say apocalypse or something like that. And they also paint the apocalypse, by the way.
So they will be, this time your children will be also in.
Yes, they paint already from the old pictures. They painted for me for the new film. This is what the old monks did. They went to a cloister,
monastery,
to monastery for a year, and they where the book was there already, and they repainted it. So that's what my children do now, step by step. Yeah.
We can talk about it in 6 years.
Yes. Okay.
How many more children? No.
Yes.
No, but it's going well. I mean, we are in the research, or Lucia is in the research, and we got funding from the BKM, and trying now to get more funding.
BKM is just the German Culture Fund. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Film Fund. Yeah.
Yeah. German Culture Fund.
Yes, and we have to cross fingers to close the financing and then to start shooting this year. But let's see. I mean, we are in a quite apocalyptic moment right now. So let's see if we will start shooting and how and in which spheres and whatever.
Yeah, which is of course, it's for everybody difficult to work now. You know it, Tatjana, with children, no kita,
no traveling.
No traveling, nothing.
Actually, when I'm saying now I will shoot something, I have the feeling that I'm saying you know, next year I will do this documentary about Mars, on Mars. So something like the same feeling. And I know that you won the prize with the Maman Maman Maman, the National Gallery prize, with your last film. Does it help now a little bit? So I'm speaking about this industrial problems, because you always have to write so much and to be so clear, and the ways Lucia working is actually not compared with all the market, I would say.
I think it helps, like, in two ways. Like, on one hand, it helps a lot to have the second film and to really show that her way of filmmaking continues, and that she proved in another film that she's really able to do an interesting and funny and great film about such a private topic in a way, and that she's able to put it on a different level. This is one thing that helps. But of course, the award, which is like the main award for films that are in between art and film in Germany, which I don't know, it's strange that there's only one in a way, but it helps because for the funders, as we don't have in Germany, and I think it's a problem in many parts, we don't have a specific funding for these films, which are not clearly films with a plot and you can write a treatment, but as well they are not like gallery films that it's an installation. So it's really difficult to find funding, and then as a producer you have to go to either a little bit more this way or this way, and trying to communicate that this film, even though it's so different, it will be a good film and it will work, at least in festivals. And I think because it's always a bit risky then for the commission to say yes, for them it makes it so much easier if the previous film won this award. It helps them to be risky, you know, because they say, okay, the last film was great and it was awarded, so we can go give her another opportunity. Yeah. So in this way, it makes it easier.
And on the distribution way, because the film is 37 minutes, it means you cannot go to the cinema, so you cannot distribute in the cinema. It's only festivals, yeah, as I understand. Is it right? Or how you deal with this? Because I
mean there are two questions. On one hand, how to make it seen, of course. I mean, we are lucky because it was exhibited in one big museum in Berlin for over 4 months, I think, or 3 months or something. So it was at least accessible for people if they wanted to see it. And then we will, when the festival run is over, we will, of course, try to have it online. But to earn money, of course, it's impossible. I mean, one thing is to make it visible, which is already difficult, but then to get revenue is nearly impossible.
Revenues on the film. Revenues on the film, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So how you can live from it?
We cannot. Like we just do it for the pleasure. Yeah. Maybe the next project, because it will be funded in a more proper way, but the previous film, I mean, the first one was without budget, and the second one we had a budget of 7,000 euro or something, which was just to pay the post-production and to pay the film material and stuff. So it's really impossible to have the aim to as well live of these kind of films, at least nowadays.
Yeah, but we still keep on working. I think that's what every artist and filmmaker has to do, like keep on.
Just do it.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I earn my money with other kind of productions, and Lucia as well with other kind of works.
Yeah, I work for some online TV shows and photographs, and
just not to have the illusion.
To be able to make the film, such a film, you have to do something else, and this is amazing, because if you are doing this program and putting together films which are from 60s and 70s, and even Agnès Varda, Salut les Cubains, you can see that these films were they got the money from broadcast. mostly. So they were still funded in the 70s. And this is all the small German broadcast, CDF, that's Kleine Deutsche Spiel, was also funding this kind of films. But I have the feeling that in the last 20 years, I don't know if I'm wrong, but this is like totally erased for...
Yeah. I mean, there's one hand, it's not possible anymore to show it on the television because it got so formatted. But then as well about the length, like it's either you have a 52-minute film or but no, I think television would not fund this anymore. No.
It's a pity. Yeah. That
So the next film will be 90 minutes.
No, the next wagon of the train.
The next wagon. Maybe in a few years we have a film of 3 hours.
And this will be broadcasted then.
But step by step.
Yeah, because then she will be so famous that they will of course make a 3-hour slot for Lucia's work.
When I'm 80, I don't know, but
a little bit we're running out of time, and it was really nice to see you girls.
Hey, thank you, Tatjana. Thank you for putting us together, because it's really the first getting together thanks to you, and I'm happy. I'm very happy.
And it's the first time that I'm speaking so about your film, and I'm really happy that we could have a longer conversation on it in the different format. And I wanted just to say that you can see Lucia Margarita Bauer's film on docuspace.org. It's available until 10th of May. Okay. And there's also a function that you can ask her questions with the video log. Record a question, and then if she will be like something in between all the 4 children that you have, you will answer it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, but I'm sorry, I have a question. Even so, because in my country they say it's not possible in my country to watch the films. Is that true, or did I do something wrong?
Yeah, all the films are available only in Ukraine.
Okay, good. Okay.
Geolog on the films, because it's still an online festival, so we have all the films available just for Ukrainian in Ukraine. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it was nice to see you, Tatjana.
Thank you very much, and I wish you so much luck for the next film. And
you too.
You too.
I can't wait to see
on Mars.
The subject. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Ciao. Ciao.